Hello and welcome to today's live coaching call and community conversation. My name is Diane Parham. I am a fasting mindset coach, and here in our community, we talk about all things for us as aging women. Today, we are going to be talking about, or I'm going to be sharing with you guys, my recent visit to my cardiologist, some things that we talked about, some testing and screening you can get done for yourself, and the overall big picture that we need to be looking at in regards to our health as we are going through this aging process. So welcome. I am also the creator of the Intermittent Fasting for Today's Aging Woman course. I always like to say that because you guys ask me about that all the time. That is the course I teach here for us women as we're going through this transition through hormonal changes and to really set ourselves up to age successfully and take control of our health. So before we get started today, I want you to do me a favor. Make sure you leave me a comment in the comment section. Let me know that you are here. And I also want to make sure that we understand this about today's conversation. I am not a doctor. Anything that I am sharing with you today is my own personal experience with my health screenings, my family history with health, what I'm doing currently today for myself, and discussions I have with my doctor. This is in no way diagnosing or prescribing anything to anyone else. I just want to share my experience with you so that you can go into your appointments or make decisions about your health that maybe help you feel a little bit more informed or empowered, or give you the tools to go in and ask the right questions when you go see your doctor. So this is a great time, like I said, to leave a comment in the comment section. I always ask that you leave a comment on Facebook and YouTube. That just helps my channel, as well as subscribing, following, and liking, and all of those kind of things. So let's get started with today's conversation. So what I want to start with today is some statistics about women and heart disease in general. So heart disease is the world's #1 killer, right? 43 million women, so our community here, 43 million women currently have some sort of heart disease that they are having to manage in their everyday life. 43 million women, you guys, think about that number. Here's another startling statistic. 80% of heart disease is preventable, right? Let that sink in for a second. 43 million women are currently suffering from heart disease, and 80% of heart disease is preventable. You know, here in this community, we talk about prevention. We talk about taking health into our own hands. We talk about creating a lifestyle for ourselves so we can look and feel our best and live our most authentic life. We don't want to be statistics, right? We don't want to be part of that 43 million. We want to be part of the 80% that is doing the work to prevent, or we want to be part of this statistic right here, right? We want to, if you get diagnosed with something that has to do with heart disease, if you get diagnosed with a health condition, what can you do to prevent it? Or can you take information, apply it, and then hopefully get ahead of it, right? That's what we really want to do here in our community. Okay, so let's get going on today's discussion. So like I said, I went to a cardiologist yesterday, actually. It was recommended that I go see a cardiologist because of an EKG that I had done during my annual physical. Now, this isn't something that was alarming to me or new to me. This is the third time I've been referred out to a cardiologist because of an EKG that seemed abnormal. And remember, a lot of times when we get these abnormal type of readings, we could be the outlier, right? So we could be an outlier in a situation because we're not part of a norm when they're looking on an average. And that's pretty much what it was. It has always been with my EKGs. So my first abnormal EKG was when I was in my mid 40s. And then I had one at my last physical and this one. And I've always had to go see a cardiologist. And then I go see the cardiologist. And it's usually the same thing of like, your heart is fine. You're a conditioned athlete. We're not going to worry about anything. But I have risk factors. So I always go to the cardiologist because I want to make sure I'm looking at the big picture of things. So one of the big reasons why I always get flagged to go see a cardiologist is because I have a very low heart rate. And on an EKG, when my heart rate dips, it doesn't rise to the average, right? So the heart rate coming back up doesn't peak where most people's do. So One of the reasons that is the case for me is because I am a runner and I have a very conditioned heart because of the cardiovascular type of exercise that I do. So when you explain all of that to your doctor, they go, oh, okay, like now I see where this is. But because I have family history of heart disease, I am a person who has always had high cholesterol. We're going to talk about that in a second. Because I am postmenopausal and because heart disease runs rampant with women, I never want to take a chance that I'm doing all the things right without going to speak to a professional. So this is where I really encourage you, especially here, our community of women, to know what the risks are for you, family history. Know where some of your outlying numbers might be and take your complete package to your doctor when you go have a discussion, right? So they can see all aspects of your life and help you decide what to do moving forward. And that's exactly what I did at my cardiologist's office. Okay, so let's see if we have I'm going to share with you guys some of the things that my doctor and I talked about. So one of the biggest things, and I've talked about this here before, is a calcium heart test. So this is a test that you can go have done, and it's basically like an x-ray of your heart, and they see how much calcium or plaque deposits have rested on your heart, basically. And so I put in here what kind of the score ranges are for that. My cardiologist said this is his number one test that he recommends for all of his patients because it gives a true picture of what is settling on your heart. Like if you have high cholesterol or if you have any kind of plaque problems, if it's settling and hardening on your heart, that's when heart disease and heart attack risks become problematic, right? So I recommend, if you haven't done so yet, check with your insurance company, check with your doctor about scheduling a calcium heart test. It's super simple to do. It's super painless. You get the results like very quickly, and then you have some more informed information about what's actually going on with your heart. So I had this done, I think 2 years ago. So I'm due again to go get mine in 2025. And my score was 0. So I have 0 deposits on my heart. I have 0 plaque on my heart. So check, not a risk factor, right? This is one of those tests that I highly, highly recommend. My cardiologist also recommended it as well, and going in every 5 years. Here's why. Just like with a mammogram, we want to see a pattern of things that are happening in our body, right? So if you go have a mammogram every year, what they're looking for is changes in your tissue, right? Is something there today that wasn't there a year ago? The same thing holds true with a calcium heart test. They want to see, you did the test, your calcium score was whatever it was, and then in 5 years, what's the score now? So in that 5-year period, what was the change? And if you had a significantly bigger number change, she went from 0 to 400 or something, then we know we have a problem, and that's that risk factor for heart disease. So consistency over time is what I always say here in this community. Make sure you know when your testing frequencies should be, right? So mammograms every year. We want to get our calcium heart test every 5 years. We want to make sure we're getting our cholesterol tested every year in your annual physical. So we want to see where there are some changes. So some other things that we can look at here as well. This is something you can just Google. It's the Farmington risk score for hard coronary heart disease. Literally Google Farmington risk score, right? And all you do is pump in some numbers from some recent tests that you've done, and it tells you a percentage of risk that you are for heart disease, right? Again, it's just one of those cool things to kind of know, keep on the back of your mind if you are one of those higher risk people. And do you have to start doing some things to make some lifestyle changes to reduce your risk? Or could you be one of those people like me who has a bad EKG, but all the other numbers plugged in put me at low risk because my overall lifestyle is not contributing to the risk of heart disease? So just Google this, plug in your numbers, see what kind of percent you get, and then just bring these numbers with you when you go to see your doctor. So let's talk a little bit about cholesterol. So cholesterol is one of those things that's always like a hot button topic. I have been diagnosed with pure hypercholesterolemia, which is basically a family history of high cholesterol. So my maternal grandfather had his first heart attack at 35. Heart disease, high cholesterol was always a topic of conversation around the family dinner table when it was, around my grandfather. It was something that he had to manage and deal with. I don't remember him ever not having heart concerns or heart disease concerns. I also have very vivid memories of my grandfather sitting in his recliner with a half a gallon of ice cream and a spoon and just going after it, right? So he had heart disease. He had a series and a history of heart attacks, but he still continued to make lifestyle choices that didn't help his situation, right? My mother also has high cholesterol, high blood pressure, heart disease that has to be managed, unhealthy lifestyle, right? So then it comes to me, maternal grandfather, my mom. I always have naturally high cholesterol, but I live a healthy lifestyle. So again, it's one of the outliers, right? That I have high cholesterol. But when we take into consideration where the high cholesterol is coming from, and the fact that I have very low triglycerides and my HDL is in a good range, my total cholesterol, when you consider the LDL, the HDL, and where my triglycerides are, is fine and not of a concern. So what my cardiologist recommends is to keep an eye on how things are changing as I age, right? So is my cholesterol changing drastically from one appointment to the other? Is my calcium heart score changing drastically from the last time I took it to the next time I took it? If there's no drastic changes, right? Again, this is why consistency over time with testing is important. Then I'm living a very healthy lifestyle, and heart disease is not going to become a risk factor for me because I have an outlying number here or there. So this is why it's super important to get your testing done, see your doctor on a regular basis, and do more than one test so you get the big picture of where you are, while also factoring in some of these things that might be family related. So what my doctor did say about my family history with heart disease and high cholesterol is that's just a thing that we need to keep an eye on, right? And if the calcium heart score comes back high, if cholesterol changes, if I'm not feeling well or I can't exercise the way I've been, accustomed to exercising, we have to look into some other things. But as a 55-year-old postmenopausal woman with the big picture of all of the things that I have going on, I have no risks of heart disease as I stand today. The thing we want to remember is that we're making lifestyle choices to prevent heart disease, right? Just because you've been diagnosed with something or you have a family history of something doesn't necessarily mean that has to be your forever problem. There are ways that we can reduce, eliminate, or prevent things from getting worse. So if you have that history of heart disease, it is imperative for you to take that into consideration and know that it doesn't have to be your future, but it could very well be your future if you don't take your health into your own hands and make some lifestyle choices. So this lifestyle that we are living here is definitely working. Intermittent fasting has been that thing that not only eliminated a pre-diabetic condition that could have been very problematic for me down the road. I eliminated that from just fasting for my first year back in 2017, managing the situation with the probability of having heart disease as I get older because of my family history, but lifestyle changes are keeping that at bay, nothing I have to worry about. Managing triglycerides, cholesterol, blood pressure, all of those things are going to matter when they start to stack up against each other and they become problematic for you. 43 million women who are having to manage heart disease is an exhausting number, right? It's not bad enough that we have to manage dementia and Alzheimer's as women as well, being 2/3 of the community of people who are managing diabetes or Alzheimer's and dementia, but now also heart disease as well. So it is imperative that we take our health into our own hands. I always say that your health is your choice. What my doctor left me with when I walked out of his office was, the goal is to make sure that we live our life as long as we can and as successfully as we can. And that's what we always say here. So when my cardiologist said that to me, I was like, man, we are right on target here in this community with how it is we're making these choices as we're going through this aging process. Heart disease is no joke, and it is very, very prevalent for us women. So make sure you're getting your testing done. Make sure you're making lifestyle choices that will keep it at bay, regardless of your family history. But know your family history so that if you are predisposed to having one of those outlying numbers, you can manage that, discuss that with your doctor, and then make sure you have a plan moving forward. Google the calcium heart test. My cardiologist, like I said, he said that was the number one test he looks for. It is his favorite test. It's super inexpensive. Most insurance companies will, in fact, cover that. So ask all the questions, get that on your schedule. Then make sure you are understanding your big picture cholesterol numbers, including what your triglycerides are and your overall total cholesterol. Make sure you're getting that cardiovascular fitness in as well. Again, my doctor was so happy with what I'm doing with my fitness. You guys know I talk about endurance training here, zone 2, zone 3. One of the things he did tell me, and I asked this specifically of him, what does he think about doing VO2 max testing or managing your heart rate with a heart rate monitor? And this is what he told me. He is not for any type of exercise program or exercise routine that deems a heart rate goal as something that you have to strive for to be successful in a group. So he specifically referenced Orange Theory and how he doesn't like that, because if you don't hit a certain target heart rate, you're left to leave like you're feeling like you're not fit or you're unsuccessful. He recommended exercising to a feeling and then managing your heart rate from there. So this, again, what I teach here in this community. Understand what your perceived exertion rate is, right? So when you're exercising at a certain heart rate, how does that feel for you? If it's completely uncomfortable and you're gassed out and you can't have a conversation, are you working out too hard? And what does that look like on your heart rate monitor? The same thing goes through for like endurance type of training. Like when you think you're endurance training and you're doing a lower duration at a longer time frame, how do you feel? Can you have a conversation? Is your heart working at a level that you're expecting it to work at based on what you're asking your body to do? All of this is super important, especially as we're aging, to make sure that we are functionally fit to live our life. So monitoring your heart rate is key. You don't have to max out at every single workout or do HIIT training to stay cardiovascularly fit and keep that aerobic performance up. All of these things matter for sure. Another thing I want to mention really quickly about the cholesterol issue, because I know I'm going to get a bunch of questions and I get questions all the time about cholesterol. I have had high cholesterol flagged as high cholesterol since I was in my 20s when I was a group fitness instructor, eating pizza with no cheese and only vegetables. It is not a dietary condition for me and the way my body is made. It is a genetic predisposition handed down through my family. So I will have to manage this my entire life. Dietary changes for me haven't affected my cholesterol in a good way or a negative way. It's just the way my body produces and stores cholesterol. So make sure you understand that about you and your family history as well. And again, look at all the numbers, not just one. What's your calcium heart score? What are your triglycerides? If your LDL is high, what is your HDL and what is your total cholesterol? What is your fitness lifestyle looking like? What is your nutrition looking like? Do you have high blood pressure? Are you managing diabetes? And then what are you doing to control that? And you guys know here in this community, we do practice intermittent fasting as a lifestyle to help us age successfully. One other thing I'll mention about what he said when I had my conversation with him about my lifestyle, and let me tell you kind of how the appointment went as well. We didn't have anything to talk about. I was scheduled to get a treadmill stress test, but he looked at me, he looked at my numbers, he looked at, all the things I was going in with. He heard what I had to say, and I didn't even get to do a stress test, which I was kind of bummed out about because I wanted to see what my numbers were. So I didn't even have to go in and do the test that I was, referred to go have done. Make sure when you go in to have any kind of appointment with any kind of physician that you're going to see, that you go in well equipped with your numbers and you're ready to have a conversation. I skipped out of my cardiologist's office and he left me with this little compliment. He said, keep doing what you're doing, young, fit woman, is what he called me, right? At 55, postmenopausal, my cardiologist calls me a young, fit woman. I take that compliment and I'm going to hold that tight and continue doing what I'm doing. So create your most authentic life. Make sure that you're honest with yourself about your decisions, and then make decisions that are going to allow you to look and feel your best and do that most authentically. Okay, so let me see what we got here in comments. If you have any questions, now's the time to ask them. Remember, I am not a doctor. I can't diagnose anything for you. I can't prescribe anything to you. I can share my own personal experience and history with you, and then give you the information that you can go take to your doctor to ask questions of the person that is taking care of you in the medical arena. Go informed. Your doctor is busy. They're seeing a lot of patients. You need to slow them down and have them listen to you. I spent an hour in his office and we mostly talked about fitness and exercise and eating healthy and what's going on in the world. And that's how you want to go in and go out of a doctor's office, talking about very light things and not having to worry about managing your health moving forward. It is the best feeling in the world. Pam from PA, excited for the February course to begin, all signed up. Pam, I cannot wait to have you in class with us. It is so much fun. It is the beginning of your forever with living a healthy lifestyle. So I can't wait to have you with us in class. Sandra, hello. I am with you live today. You're a dialysis nurse. Well, thank you for serving in the medical community. We always appreciate our healthcare workers. So happy to have you with us today. I need help with cellulite elimination. Sandra, cellulite is one of those things that we as women just have. Social media, magazine covers, TV wants us to believe that cellulite is a bad thing and a thing that we can completely eliminate, and that's just not true. If you're eating a healthy lifestyle, if you are exercising regularly, if you're not battling any sugar-related diseases like insulin resistance or diabetes, if you've always had a cellulite problem, and then now you're in a middle-age season like most of us are here, it is who you are. Like, I have had cellulite my entire life. I started noticing cellulite when I was in high school. I was a soccer player. I was constantly running. I was even eating healthy then. Cellulite has just been part of who I am. Now, I have had times when I have put on extra weight. I have had times when I was insulin resistant. I have had times when I haven't been very authentic and honest with my nutritional lifestyle. And my cellulite, AKA fat, was more noticeable. So cellulite is just part of being a woman. Cellulite does become more obvious to us and our naked eye as we start to age. So there's worse things that you can be dealing with than cellulite. I'd say pick your battles for sure. If you know you're doing everything right with your nutrition, if you're not battling any sugar-related diseases, you're working out, you're doing all the things that you need to do, and you still have some cellulite, it's just who you are. Now, there are these things that you can do. There's cold sculpting. There's all these things that you can do to, kind of eliminate the visibility of cellulite. You have to go to an office and pay to have those procedures done. If that's what you feel is next step for you to help you look and feel your best and live your most authentic life, I always say more power to you. You have to do what you need to do so that you can show up looking and feeling your best. But the reality is we just have cellulite. There's not a whole lot we can do about that one. Sandra, me again. I have been IF for 7 days now, doing 20 to 24 hours, one meal a day, feeling great. Thanks. Awesome. Okay. So just remember, 20 hours of intermittent fasting is not one meal a day. One meal a day is about the 23-hour fast. You literally eat once, you're done, you start your next fast. So 20 hours of fasting leaves 4 hours of feasting. You do what you need to do in that 4 hours to feast to support your next fast. So just so we can make that clear for sure. Your cardiologist is much more engaged than mine is. My guy just told did an echocardiogram and said my heart looks good and he doesn't need to see me for another year or two, but my blood pressure is crazy high. Okay, so I would do your own research then on what to do to reduce your blood pressure, because blood pressure is something we don't want to play around with for sure. So Google how to lower blood pressure, Google how to manage blood pressure, Google whatever you need to do to make sure that you are taking care of yourself. So doctors are great. We need them for certain things, but ultimately the responsibility of our health is our responsibility. So get educated, be honest with the decisions you're making in your life, manage your stress, manage your sleep, whatever you need to do to see what you can do to lower that blood pressure for sure. And if you have a doctor who is not engaged with you as a consumer, you have a right to shop around, right? So shop around. If your doctor seems rushed, if they don't have time for you, if they're just treating you like a check, next patient, shop around, because they're getting paid by you, the consumer who's coming to see them via your insurance or whatever you're paying in your deductible. And you should feel good, informed, and well taken care of when you leave your doctor's office. So shop around if you need to, my friend. Sandy, I totally agree. Exercise at the rate best for you. I push myself a couple times a week, but not on a daily basis. Functional moves are best. Yeah, for sure. So I have what I call race day. If you follow me on Instagram, Saturdays is my race day. And that's the day that my heart rate is not something that I quote unquote necessarily manage. I exercise as if I was racing, right? So I go all out. Sunday through Friday, I train for race day. So I really make sure that I'm doing my stretching. I'm making sure that I'm doing some endurance type of training. I make sure I'm doing my strength training so that when I show up on race day, I'm fully capable of executing at the level I choose to execute at. And so that's a kind of a good way to figure out our fitness as well. Like, what's the day you go all out and what's the day you pull back so you can train for your next event for sure. Tina, my CAC score is high. Not sure why, as triglycerides are low and HDL is great. A1C is 4.9. My total cholesterol is higher. My cardiologist keeps trying to put me on a statin, but I don't agree. Okay, so Tina, here's what my cardiologist told me too. So my husband has low cholesterol, never an issue, but had a high calcium heart score. I have high cholesterol and a big fat 0 on my calcium heart score, right? So again, you have to look at the big picture of things. And so what my cardiologist told me was, if my calcium heart score changes, that's when we have to look at different things, right? And see where this plaque is finding a home. Right now, it's not settling in my body. It's in my bloodstream, but it doesn't seem to be a problem because there's no other risk factors, right? So when you go get your calcium heart score, see how it's changing. And then that's when you have to do some other things, right? So he was very, very honest with me in the fact that if my calcium heart score goes up, we will probably have to do some, I forget what it's called officially, but you know, where they put the dye in your arteries and they see if there's any plaque buildup. And he goes, and if there is plaque buildup in your arteries, we have to then go to the next level because my body's not flushing it through. It's settling. Right now, it seems like my body's managing it despite the fact that it's high. It's not parking and finding a home in my body. So at that point, you have to make an informed decision. The thing I really like to emphasize here in this community is being on medication is not a failure. Being on medication is not a negative. Being on medication is not a bad thing if it keeps you alive, right? What we want to make sure that we go into mindset wise, and this is where my future could very well be for me, because heart attacks are part of my family history. Blood clots are part of my family history. My father died of an aneurysm, like they found him 3 days later. So all of the blood clots are also on my maternal side. So these are all things I have to think about. So I'm not going to put my pride for me above my health and overall well-being to age successfully, right? I don't want to die of an aneurysm. I don't want to die of a heart attack. So I will do what I have to do based on what I have been granted in this human body, right? And if my body is the kind of body that just holds on to cholesterol and it becomes problematic to me, I will do what I have to do to keep myself alive. The thing we want to make sure that we're doing is the preventative part. There are some things that are preventative, and dang it, there's just some things that are genetic, right? And if you're that person that just genetically, your body holds on to that cholesterol and that plaque and it becomes problematic to you, despite the fact that you're doing everything right, you have to listen to your doctor and you have to take that advice for sure. So just know that going in, you're not doing anything wrong. You're doing the best you can. Tina, I keep working on lifestyle choices to reduce my risk as much as possible on 2,000 milligrams of niacin per his recommendation for a genetic component. Yeah, so niacin is another one of those things that has been shown. And I'm thinking that you're doing this for cholesterol, I'm thinking. So niacin is one of those supplements that has been shown to help keep cholesterol at bay. So talk to your doctor about that and see if it might be something that you could do. There's not going to be any risk factors with taking niacin. There are some niacins out there that are like niacin can cause you to have like a flush in your face and it makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable. It's a redness in your face. So you can get non-flush niacin as well if you're worried about that. But yeah, so there's all these preventative things that we could do. I say do as many preventative things as possible and just hope that they work for you as advertised, is what I always say, right? So we wear sunscreen to prevent or reduce our risk of skin cancer. It doesn't mean you're not going to get skin cancer. It just means it's going to help reduce the risk. The same thing holds true with niacin or eating oat bran or, living a healthier nutritional lifestyle. We do the best that we can to keep that prevention part in our court for sure. Sandy, my ratio is great even though my overall cholesterol hovers around 210. My calcium score is 0. Yeah, there you go. Your perfect example right there. I've researched so many blood pressure treatments, doing everything right. Meds, medication, paced breathing, clean, vegan, low inflammatory diet, no added oil, sugar, fats. Docs can't make sense of it. So odd. Okay, so you just might be another one of those people that's predisposed to that. It's just your body's DNA. Hey, what are we going to do about that, right? So do a little, if you don't know yet, do a little family history and see if it is one of those things that has just kind of come down the family line for you. And then you can just give yourself permission that that's just who you are. That's just what you have to deal with. And thank God that there's ways that you can manage that if you're doing everything right for sure. Yes, for lipoprotein A. Yeah, for sure. So that niacin is great for that. And can your PCP order a calcium heart test? Yes, that's who actually did ours. I'm thinking your primary care physician. Yeah, that's who initially did ours for sure. And then they just one goes to the cardiologist and then the number comes back to your primary care physician. It's recommended to do it every 5 years. It is super quick. You just go in and your heart gets scanned. And then, like I said, you'll have the results at a follow-up appointment. So it's super easy, super painless. And it just gives you that confidence, right? When other things might be making you question some things. And the cardiologist said that is his number one recommended favorite test because it gives the big picture of actually what's going on with your heart and how your body is storing or utilizing the cholesterol that you have going through it. So make sure you get those tests for sure. Okay. What was the other thing I was going to talk to you guys about? I think that's it. The other thing I want to make sure that we talk about here really quickly in our community is fad things, right? So there's lots of cool gadgets out today. There's lots of fads going on of what you should do this and you should do that. And you should jump on this bandwagon. And what I always want to make sure we are doing here is staying authentic with ourselves, right? There are some really amazing tools available today that you can manage your own care at home. You guys know I talk about metabolic flexibility a lot. That's another thing he and I had a conversation about was metabolic flexibility and making sure we are metabolically flexible. That again is a big picture health that we're looking at. Our stress, our sleep, our nutrition, our fitness, our hydration, all of that makes up our metabolic health. And we know what we've seen over the last couple of years, how having metabolic inflexibility can be one of those things that can catch you off guard and cause you to have problems you never would have thought you would have to manage, right? And so make sure that you're taking your health as a big picture approach and not jumping on some I need to lose weight. I need to fit in a bikini. I need to wear a size 6. I need to get rid of my cellulite. Like, no, if you work on the inside health, right? Your inside health first, it will show on the outside. If all you're worried about is how the outside looks and you're not managing your health from the inside, I promise you some things are going to sneak up on you and you're not going to be happy about it. I don't know how many friends we have lost over the past couple of years, and we've seen it in the news of people just dropping dead of a heart attack, right? Don't let that sneak up on you. Healthcare starts on the inside and it will reveal itself on the outside. Manage your health that way, and I promise you, you won't have any issues sneak up on you that you can avoid, right? Okay. The other thing I wanted to talk about is making sure that you are being very honest with yourself, putting in that pause in there. Health is a mindset. You get to decide how it is you want to live your life. You, the singular person, gets to decide. Make sure that you are making those conscious choices for you and your future self. I plan on living, I say this number and it seems like a short amount of time, but I'm going to be 56 this year. I plan on living like another 45 years, which seems like such a short period of time because it's less than the time that I've been alive already, but I don't want to live much past 100, right? But I want to live till 100 fully. And how do I do that? I concentrate on my health from the inside. I let that reveal what my health on the outside is, and I do it in my most authentic way so I can show up looking and feeling my best. And that's really what we want to think about here. No, the thing that docs can't make sense of is that my blood pressure is still around 170 over 72, even doing all the right things. I'm beyond frustrated. Yeah, girlfriend, I don't know. That's that thing that I'm not qualified to really discuss. So I would say just keep in touch with your doctor and just keep doing all the things you can. Look into your family history and see if you can find an answer there. Pam, I take bioidentical hormones for menopausal symptoms, goes under my tongue. Might something like this interrupt the fasting period? Your opinion is appreciated to have 2 weeks before course. I don't take bioidentical hormones. Again, I have family risk things and personal risks that I just, I always say the risk to benefit ratio, the benefit has to be up here, the risk has to be down here. And for me, it's this. So I don't take any hormone replacement. Menopausal symptoms like night sweats, insomnia, leg cramps, hot flashes, they're a lifestyle signs and symptoms, and because your hormones are changing, right? Again, there's different beliefs on hormone replacement. You got to do what you got to do. Is it breaking your fast? Only if you're taking those and it creates an insulin response, right? So if it creates an insulin response, yes, it's breaking your fast. You have to decide what is more important to you, taking the bioidentical hormones as prescribed or staying in a clean fast. You have to discuss that with your doctor for sure. I am not an advocate of like I said, of bioidentical hormones, just because the risk factor for me is too much. And I've had too many conversations with women who used to take them and then had some problems and then wish they hadn't. But sounds like you know what you're doing. Just do the risk to benefit ratio. Talk to your doctor about them. Tell them what you're going to be doing with fasting and see if that is going to be anything that, that's going to affect that. And then just know that a lot of perimenopausal symptoms are lifestyle choices and that have to go with hormonal changes. But once you fix your lifestyle choices, the symptoms can go away. Okay. So with that being said, I hope this makes you feel empowered about how to manage your health. I say your health is your choice, right? You can choose to live healthy. You can choose to live unhealthy. I spent an hour at my cardiologist yesterday. It was about 2 hours in total on the way there, on the way back, the time I spent in there. And it seemed like kind of like a big amount of time. And it was $50 to go see him. So it was also an expense, right? I only want to do that once a year. I don't want to do that once a month. I don't want to stand in a Walgreens and wait for my prescription. I have too much life to live to manage health conditions that are preventable. We have too much life to live. If it is something that is preventable, prevent it. If it's something that's genetic or you're predisposed to something and it's not preventable, then you have to take that into consideration and manage the life the best you can so that you can continue showing up as your authentic self. Remember, being on medicine is not a punishment or a failure or a negative if it's keeping you alive. That's what we want to make sure we are doing as well. Pam, you are welcome. You are welcome. Violent XOXOXOXO, whatever your name is. I appreciate you being here. Please make sure you subscribe if you haven't done so yet. Our intermittent fasting for today's aging woman course is the first step to taking control of your health. When I shared with my doctor what I do here in our community and the lifestyle that I am living, he praised us here in our community as women for taking control of our health. Intermittent fasting is the best way to get control of all of the things that you feel might be out of control right now. He also said this about diabetes, which I've never really heard a doctor flat out say this before, but he said if you have a sugar-related problem or a diabetic problem, you have a carbohydrate problem. We talk about that a lot here as well. And I mentioned to him the problem I had with fruits when I was going through my insulin resistance and diabetic condition. He said, yes, a lot of people don't put those two things together. So what we're teaching here in this community is working. It's working for so many women who have graduated from the course who have just been following along. If you're ready to take your health into your own hands, I teach you how to do that for yourself inside the Intermittent Fasting for Today's Aging Woman course. The next one starts on February the 5th. I would love, Violet. Okay, awesome, girlfriend. Now I'm going to call you Violet, not XOXOXO all the time. Next course is starting on February the 5th. I would love to have you in with us. I teach you how to listen to the signs and signals that are going on in your body so that you can, in fact, listen to those and then make decisions accordingly. Pam, I'm so excited to learn what in my lifestyle is causing my symptoms. Girlfriend, you are going to figure that out for yourself inside of class, and I cannot wait for you. I got to run, you guys. I will see you guys back here on Monday at noon Central Standard Time, where we'll have another discussion about us as aging women and what we're doing with intermittent fasting to make sure that we are aging successfully. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you guys on Monday.